We live? We're live. Let me see. All right, everybody. Welcome to the show today. My name's James. I'll be your host, and we're going to talk about some Star Wars news today. Maybe get into some Marvel stuff. We'll kind of see what happens. But the two biggest things, and it really was a huge couple days for Star Wars. The first couple things that we're going to talk about is the Bad Batch trailer, which dropped today. For Disney Plus, and then the Obi Wan Kenobi casting news that came out yesterday, which I think is really, really cool, and kind of get a little bit of speculation as far as that's concerned. Hey, what's up, Eat My Bullets? How you doing today? I think I want to start, since it's fresh in my mind, I want to start with the Bad Batch stuff because I'm actually way more excited about this show than what I was just a few hours ago, mainly because I have a better idea of what it's going to be about, and the fact that one of my kind of thoughts about what the show was going to be is actually going to be true. And if you haven't seen the trailer yet, I would suggest going and watching it because it's finding out some of the things by watching it is way cooler than hearing about it. So I would suggest kind of getting off here, watching the trailer, and coming back to this. But the coolest thing about this is the fact that it is going to be the Bad Batch on the run, which is something I thought it was going to be about. They're kind of renegades. They don't follow orders. They're just maybe a little bit what's the uncontrollable, I guess. And I don't think the Empire really has any need or want for clones or anybody really within the Empire that's going to think on their own and do what they want to do. So the Bad Batch, the fact that they are more powerful and they have all these unique skills despite that fact, and the fact that the Empire could utilize them, they have no interest in that. They are the enemies of the state, and they're going to be hunted down, which makes for a very interesting story. It also, I still think that that's going to give them an opportunity to visit some of the other characters that we've seen, that we've always kind of wondered how they acted and what their lives were like once the Empire came out of the ashes of the Republic. And we're going to get to see that, I think. And particularly, I think we'll end up seeing Cody. I know that, and I didn't see it, but I know some people said that they did see Rex in the trailer, which would be really cool. But I want to see, maybe Cody is one of the clones who is in charge of coming after them, which I think would make a lot of sense because it would be an opportunity to show that character in there, in particular if he's going to end up being in the Obi Wan series, to kind of give a little bit of connections to that. Because as we go to the Obi Wan Kenobi casting, I'll kind of talk about some of the characters that I think weren't announced, or some of the cast that wasn't announced because they don't want you to know what characters they're going to be. But I think with all of these things, they're going to show connections between all these different shows. That's why I also wouldn't be too surprised if Ahsoka somehow made a very small appearance in this. Though I don't think it should be much because she's on the run. She doesn't want to be found. And honestly, it might not even make sense for her to be in this. Whereas with Rex, we don't know what his story was. We don't know where he was between the end of the Clone Wars and when we find him on Rebels, on that sand planet. So it could help fill in some of those gaps with Rex on that. But again, I think Rex's role in this is going to be very, very small, extremely small. So don't expect him to stick around for multiple episodes or anything like that. The other things that we know is Fennec Shand, of course, is going to be in this, but now I think we have a better idea of what she's going to be doing. I think that she's a bounty hunter, and she probably took up the task of finding and eliminating or capturing the Bad Batch. And it just kind of comes down to the question of whether or not she unsuccessfully tries to kill them or take them in, or if for whatever reason she ends up going on their side and doesn't decide to take them in. So I think we'll learn more about who she is and what she stands for in this. And I think that's also questions of whether or not we'll see Boba Fett in the series. When did Boba and Fennec Shand meet each other? Because I think there's a decent chance that they met each other on Tatooine in The Mandalorian. It's very possible that he found her and stitched her back together and then utilized her as somebody that owed him a favor so he can put together a crew or whatever. Or maybe they knew each other from their bounty hunting days from earlier, and it would be kind of cool to see a younger Boba Fett in this series, but I don't know if we'll see that. I think, you know, there's a kid that was added into this who appears to be joining the Bad Batch. I'm interested to see what they do with that. In the past, the kid characters in these series have mixed reactions, and particularly Ahsoka and Ezra, where they're kind of really annoying in the beginning. And I wonder if this younger clone that's going along for the ride, if he's going to be annoying. And I also wonder if, unlike with Ezra and Ahsoka, where they had multiple seasons to develop and to mature, I'm wondering how many seasons of Bad Batch will get, whether it's just going to be one-off or multiple seasons, and whether or not that kid is going to get that opportunity to grow on us, or if it's just going to be one season and maybe they'll tone down the immaturity because they know they're not going to have time for a character arc with him. So I'm kind of interested in that too. Is he going to be there just for a entry point for younger viewers to be able to have somebody that they can relate to? Because I think in a lot of ways that's what Ezra and Ahsoka were for the younger viewers when those shows came out, so that those viewers could watch and say, okay, I could see myself in Ahsoka, I could see myself in Ezra, and they also grew up with them. So this kid in the Bad Batch, I think, could be that could be the purpose of him, is to be somebody that kids can relate to. Because once again, this is a cartoon. This is going to be, even though it's going to be on Disney Plus, it's going to have people like me that are huge Star Wars fans that are going to be watching it, but I think it's also going to have a much younger demographic than what The Mandalorian is. So they want to make sure that they give those younger kids a reason and somebody to relate to on the show. So yes, I thought the Bad Batch trailer looked awesome. The poster, you could see to the right of me, looks phenomenal. Minimal. We don't get much. It doesn't tell us anything, but at the same time, it's just a cool looking poster. And I'm looking forward to the Bad Batch more now than what I was just a few hours ago, and I was looking forward to it before. So I guess one of the things that I'm concerned about with the Bad Batch is I feel like Wrecker is going to get on my nerves, and I really hope they find ways of maybe deepening his character just a little bit to make me like him, because I just feel like he's going to annoy the crap out of me, just being honest on that. So transitioning out of that into the Obi Wan series, and we got, and I'm going to look at the picture just real quick. Obviously we knew Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were going to be involved. Really excited for that. Very, very excited to find out how Hayden will be used. Is he going to be just in the mask, or is he going to... I think he's going to be unmasked at some point, because why the heck do you bring Hayden Christensen in for it if he's going to be under the mask the whole time? But the question is it going to be flashback scenes? Is it going to be him in the Vader suit in the current time, which is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, with all this makeup and prosthetics and stuff on, and showing him without the mask on and seeing his eyes, Hayden Christensen's eyes, and his face made up, and his voice, because, you know, we saw at the end of the Return of the Jedi, when his mask comes off, it is a human voice, a regular voice. And so with Vader, if he is unmasked and he's talking to anybody during those time periods, it would be Hayden's voice. Very interested to see what happens there. Moses Ingram is another one that, and I think if you look at this and you say you have Ewan McGregor in the first position and Hayden in the second position, that's telling you those are the two most important characters. The next one after that is this Moses Ingram, which says, and it could just be coincidence, maybe it's just how they put this poster together, But it tells me that she's probably a pretty important character, or playing a pretty important character. So who could she be? My guess, this is going to be my guess, is that it's somebody that we'd never heard of. It's just going to be a new character, good or bad. It's just going to be somebody brand new. However, there are some people in the established canon or legends that she could end up being. And one of them is young Ray Sloan, who was a Imperial admiral, I think, if I'm right, but very important character in Star Wars, and she's definitely a take charge type person, so it could be a young version of her, which would be really cool. She could be playing a younger Ahsoka if Ahsoka shows up in this, but I don't think that's what it's going to be, because I think if Ahsoka does show up in this show, it's going to be flashbacks, in which case I think you got to go younger than that if you're going to find a different actress other than Rosario Dawson to do her live action. I think you got to age, this Moses Ingram looks like she's at least in her 20s, so I think you got to find somebody that's probably in their teens to play her. She might be an Inquisitor. It's a very good possibility that she plays an Inquisitor. Not one that we've seen. The Mary Ellen, Seventh Sister, I think, in Rebels. I don't see it being her. But I think we could see maybe her being an Inquisitor that we haven't seen. I also don't think necessarily that she'd be Barriss Offee, even though that would be cool. But if I'm trying to think, in Revenge of the Sith, I don't think she had that dark of a complexion in Revenge of the Sith, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've really honed in and seen what Barriss Offee looks like in Revenge of the Sith. But I'm really interested to see who she's going to play, because once again, I think in the position where she's at on the poster, that tells me she's going to be a very, very important character. The next two, Joel Edgerton and then Bonnie Piesse, maybe how you say it, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. So it's going to be really cool to see them back. That also kind of brings up the question of whether or not we're going to see a young Luke cast, which I think we will. I mean, why wouldn't you have a young Luke? Even though it would have to show that young Luke probably not interacting with Obi-Wan, because I really got a feeling that Ben Kenobi was somebody that Luke knew about, but wasn't somebody that he was really familiar with or had any kind of previous relationship with. So in A New Hope, it was pretty obvious that Uncle Owen had some problems with Obi-Wan and did not want Luke going with him. Felt for Luke's safety for the most part. So it'll be interesting to see where the relationship breaks down between Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen. Was it immediately after being dropped off at the end of Revenge of the Sith? Did Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru at that moment realize we're going to protect this baby, and that means also making sure that he doesn't grow up to be a Jedi like his father? Or was it something that happened later on, or maybe even in the series, where Uncle Owen just lost trust in Obi-Wan, and because of that decided he was going to keep Luke away from him? So that relationship between Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru, and Obi-Wan, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Kamel Nanjiani, I think is how you say it, who's going to be the Eternal. So he's going to now be in the two biggest properties that Disney owns in Marvel and Star Wars, which is pretty cool. No freaking clue who he could be playing. I don't even have the slightest idea. But once again, if we go by this, by the positioning on the poster, I think there's a very good chance that he is a fairly important character who we'll see quite a bit. Now, Indira Varma, who was in Game of Thrones, really good actress. I've only seen her in that, though. So I've only seen her kind of play the shady character, shady, emotional character. So it'll be interesting to see what she plays, because what my guess and my theory is isn't a hugely emotional person, isn't a shady person. And that is, I wonder if she's going to be used for flashbacks to Duchess Satine, which I think would be really interesting. because then we could get into more into the mind of Obi-Wan. Because if we're trying to have this series be an exploration of Obi-Wan and where he was after the Revenge of the Sith, and how he goes from maybe having some mental health issues and really feeling guilt to becoming this wise, at peace character that we saw in Rebels when he defeated Maul, and then in A New Hope, we're gonna have to see a lot of his backstory. And so I think seeing flashbacks to Clone Wars could be very important in that, especially because they're going to make this series be something where somebody that's never seen Star Wars needs to be able to jump into this and be able to understand who this character is. So seeing some flashbacks, I think, is going to be very important. And so to see that he once had a love of his life who he decided to leave behind to go to the Jedi Order, or to stay with the Jedi Order, I should say, I think could be very important. And to see the fact that she dies and he has to witness it, I think could really help show his psyche, especially if he's having nightmares about it, and that's where the flashbacks come in. Do I think she's going to be used for flashback scenes of Duchess Satine? This poster makes me think not, only because, once again, I think that this poster set up in a somewhat order of importance, and I don't see flashbacks of Duchess Satine being something that's a weekly thing or something that's a huge part of the series, just as something that's kind of a background type thing to help us understand the character. So I think that if she was playing Duchess Satine, she'd be farther down the list a little bit than where she is, which is kind of right in the middle. Let's see. Oh, I've got some messages in there. Okay, so I'll take a quick break from going on this and kind of look at some of these messages here. Let's see. Let's see. I hate all of this fake news. Hey, what's up? Let's see. So yeah, the Mike Zero thing, and I'm going to talk about that later. I totally agree. And as soon as I found out that Mike Zero was the source for this, Brie Larson is going to be a Jedi, more powerful than Vader, all that type of stuff, is just, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, why are people running with this? And I saw some people, I was watching Nerd Theory, Star Wars Theory, and Josh from Den of Nerds show, and I was watching that, and people were in chat saying, did you hear that Brie Larson's going to be a Jedi more powerful than Anakin and Vader and all this stuff? And I'm sitting there, what? Like, Disney, do I think that there's no chance that Disney makes this kind of decision? I think that it's always possible that they do something that's stupid. I just don't think it's going to happen. But the fact that it's going to happen based off a Mike Zero video is just absolutely stupid. All right, real quick, I got to find out why I'm having internet issues here real quick. I pay way too much money to be having internet issues. Way too much money. Getting like 500 download speed. I'll see what my upload speed is real quick. Man, this sucks because I want to have this conversation. Oh, it's not with my Streamlabs. All right, let's see what my upload speed is. Oh my gosh, holy crap. How am I getting almost 600 download speed in like half a megabyte per second upload? It looks like that's rising though. All right, it looks like my internet's coming back. Let's see. Vader's a Sith, not a Jedi. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. In my description, I really wanted to, for the most part, just make the point of what I was going to be talking about pretty quickly. Probably didn't expand upon that. Okay, so my upload speed should be fine now. So let's see if this. We'll see if this gets better. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Omar? How you doing? An ancient being Bendu lived on Adelon, a site of an early rebel base. He was massive in size and blending it with the planet's core-like landscape, remaining in a deeper slumber until Kanan Jarrus's imbalance awoken. Bendu, I love Bendu, to be honest with you. I thought he was a great character. Kind of threw me off just a little bit when I first saw him. I thought he was a little bit weird, but at the same time, after I got to really kind of get a feel for who he was and the fact that he didn't take a side between the light and the dark, he was just the Force, just in the Force, I thought was really cool because it gave a different perspective on it. Yep, Omar. Yep, I did watch that on that, and I thought it kind of, when I saw that on Nerd Theory, it kind of sparked something in me where I kind of got angry, because you have these people who are trying to inflame Star Wars fans and make them angry at Disney, and that's basically their goal. They make up these stories and they run with these angles just to get us mad at Disney because they think that's going to get them clicks. And I thought I hate that. Look, did I love the sequels? No. Did I enjoy watching them the first time around in the theater? I enjoyed each one of them the first time I watched them. I now, in the broad scope of Star Wars, I have issues with them, but I don't hate Disney for what the sequels were. I thought that maybe they made a mistake with the Gina Carano thing. I'm not going to cancel Disney and never love Star Wars again because of the Gina Carano thing. These people need to get over it. Just because the DCU fans were successful in their campaign to get the Snyder Cut released doesn't mean that these toxic Star Wars fans are going to be able to do the same thing by they're not going to be successful in getting the sequels to be uncanonized and for them to go back and do a different sequel series. They're not going to be successful in that. They're probably not going to be successful, more than likely, of getting Gina Carano her job back. There's only one person that could do that, and that would be her deciding that she wants to change how she is. And that's not saying that she's wrong, but Disney has made straight up, they drew a line in the sand and said, this is how you have to act if you want to be part of our family. And she said no, and I respect the fact that she said, I want to be who I am. So if I lose my gig at Star Wars, so be it. I respect the fact that she was willing to let that job go, and she went on and she's doing her own thing, and I respect Disney for saying we want to draw these lines. So but going back to that, so the Mike Zero thing, and I don't think he's an inflamer. I don't think he's somebody that's purposely trying to cause a rift in the Star Wars universe. And I'll get to more of these comments in a second. I just want to finish up on my opinion on this. But I think he's also somebody he's really good at figuring out how to make videos that are going to get attention. And he's, as much as I don't have any respect, it's like we got this covered. I don't have any respect for what they actually have to say. I do have respect for them for figuring out how to game the system to be successful. So the ones who are, okay, let's see. The ones who are a family of essentially Force wielders who planet Mortis. Dude, the Mortis arc was one of my favorite arcs because it gave us a better understanding of the Force and made it more mystical. I think that was somewhat necessary, and I'm glad that George did that, because the midichlorians, when he talked about that in The Phantom Menace, made it more scientific, and that kind of, I understand what he was trying to do there. He was trying to be cute with that, and he was trying to be clever or whatever. But I think he realized that kind of came back at him and wasn't the right decision. And I think the Mortis arc in some ways helped remedy that. It made it more of a mystical thing instead of a scientific thing. Let's see. The son and daughter worship as the twin deities or simply as the spirits in the Night Sisters religion. Yeah, I didn't know about that. I know a little bit about the Night Sisters, probably not as much as you do though. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, because I thought the Night Sisters were another group that was pretty amazing, and I enjoyed them because even though they were on the dark side, they weren't Sith. I didn't feel like they did what they did to be necessarily evil. They just did what they did to be who they were. Darth Plagueis, they need to bring him back. They need to, well, they're not going to bring him back as in he's going to come back alive, but they do need to expand upon his story at some point for you know, the story purposes, because, you know, Palpatine obviously learned a lot from him, and at the same time, Plagueis seemed to go against the way that the Sith were, which is they basically knew, hey, I'm powerful. My job is to either get my apprentice more powerful for me so that he kills me and takes over as the master, or if he doesn't get to that point, I'm going to have to kill my apprentice. It almost, according to Palpatine's story in Revenge of the Sith, it almost seemed like Plagueis was trying to almost create a situation where him and Palpatine could both rule together for a very long time, which doesn't really stick with the rule of two. And I want to know more about that. I want to know if perhaps maybe Palpatine wasn't telling the whole story, which I more than likely he wasn't. I mean, from a certain point of view, maybe he was, but I just don't. If Plagueis was the Sith master, and Palpatine was his apprentice, he had to have realized at some point that Palpatine was going to try to kill him. So why did he leave himself vulnerable? And even then, so if Palpatine killed Plagueis in his sleep, that almost, to be honest, at the end, that sounds like he went the pussy way of doing it, instead of, you know, besting him in battle and attacking him so that the Plagueis could attack back, killed him in his sleep. So did that really happen? Did it happen that way? We want to know as Star Wars fans. I love Brie Larson. I hope she gets into Star Wars. So please stop all this fake news made to create hate for Brie Larson. I liked Captain Marvel. I thought that it was a good movie. I liked her role in Endgame. I thought that if you go by the Gina Carano thing, I think that some of the things that Brie Larson said probably weren't good for Disney. But at the same time, if you look at her social media since then, and same thing with Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal made a social media where was I going with this? So when Pedro Pascal made a controversial social media post, he made that one. He got a lot of bad feedback from it, and then you didn't see him do it again. And I think same thing with Brie Larson. I think with all these people, anytime employee or somebody that's actually important within the Star Wars or Marvel or whatever says something that Disney doesn't like on social media, they probably sit down, have a talk with them, and say, hey, if you want to be part of this, you can't do that. And I think that probably happened with Brie Larson. But the fact that the hatred towards her and anything she wants to be part of, because some people don't agree with her politics, it's just gotten ridiculous to the point where if Brie Larson got into Star Wars, there would immediately be people that thought that she was going to be the most powerful character in all of Star Wars, and there would be some bad pushback on it. And at this, I just don't get. I don't get the hatred for the characters that they're going to play because of their political views. I have musicians, I have actors, I have people in the entertainment industry that I do not agree with politically, but that does not affect how I view their performances when they're on the screen or singing or whatever. At the end, Darth Vader is kind of a Jedi. He was a Jedi at the end, to some extent, I guess. How do you define who's a Jedi, to be honest with you? At the end, how do you define who a Jedi, what makes a Jedi, especially after the Jedi Order goes down? If we want to talk about just principle and what they stand for, Ahsoka was always a Jedi. She never stopped being a Jedi. She just wasn't part of the Jedi Order. When was Kanan a Jedi? You know, it's hard to tell because there wasn't an order at that time to be able to say, you know, yes, you for sure are a Jedi. Why can't lightsabers cut through force fields? I didn't realize they couldn't. You know what? I'll have to pass on that one because I'm not sure on that. Hate the Phantom Menace grifters. So I don't know enough about the Phantom Menace. I just know that they're, from what I've seen, they're pretty toxic. There's this entire subset of Star Wars streamers that get into the toxic stuff, and every single one of them's got the same freaking thumbnail where it's not the same exact one, but they all have like a Kathleen Kennedy with red eyes making her look evil or stuff like that. And as soon as I see those types of thumbnails, I know that it's not for me. Even though I have a huge issue, I do believe that Star Wars would be better off if they cut ties with Kathleen Kennedy, just to be able to get the fan base to have some hope for what the future is going to be. But I don't think she's this evil person that's trying to destroy Star Wars like a lot of them do. Star Chaser: The Legend of Orin. I'm not even sure what that is. Hey, thank you, Omar, for stopping by. Your likes count as a double like on live streams? That's kind of weird. Interesting. All planets in Star Wars are full of starving kids, drug gang lords who own millions of slaves and mistreat them, but Jedi do nothing about this. They are more interested in fighting the Sith. You know, so yeah, I guess that's a good point. The Jedi don't seem interested in trying to help out those that are less fortunate. That's more of a philosophical question that I'd probably that would be an interesting topic for a video all on its own, and I'd have to think way more about it. Yeah, you know, I don't really want to. I prefer not to get too much more into the I would say the toxicity of the fan bases. You know, Gal Gadot. I don't know anything. All I know is she plays a wonderful Wonder Woman. I enjoy that. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix said the same thing. Brie Larson said the BAFTAs, yet he got no hate. Gal Gadot also said the same. Tessa Thompson said the same thing, yet only Brie gets hate. Hypocrites. I think that's a good question. I mean, a lot of people have said the same thing as somebody else, but a lot of people have said the same thing as what somebody else says. And I think it depends on how big their voice was at the time that they said it and who runs with it. I mean, a lot of everything today, like how big something becomes, is a very much a product of social media, who runs with it, and who picks up on that running and then amplifies that voice. So, let's see. Omar, make you a mod. You keep hanging around the streams for a while, and I'll definitely consider it. So I'm not looking to add any mods right now, but you've been around for a while, so you're probably not far off from it. Star Wars is based on World War II, Hitler, Germany versus USA and UK. That's part of it. There's no doubt that George Lucas, above and beyond, like theology played a major role, Buddhism, all that type of stuff. But world events did too, and there's no doubt that in some ways the Empire was somewhat, you know, Hitler-esque, Nazi-esque. Mark Hamill is very political. He is, and Mark Hamill attacks Trump. I think that Mark Hamill, as somebody that's been around for a long time, kind of gets a pass on it. And you know, once again, this is I'll do a stream sometime where we tackle just the toxicity of, you know, Marvel, Star Wars, all that type of stuff, and what it means in the broader aspect of the world, and what you know, at some other time. I want to get back to this Obi-Wan thing. I want to get back to the mainly the Star Wars stuff here real quick. The actor for Han Solo was happy that he died for some reason. He wanted Han Solo to die way earlier. He wanted him to die, I think, in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. He thought that the character shouldn't be around. And plus, I don't, for whatever reason, he always had animosity towards playing Han Solo, which just doesn't make sense, because really I don't think he would have had the career overall that he had if it wasn't for that. So I'm not going to pay attention to chat for a few minutes here. I want to get through this, then I'll come back to chat here in just a second. So we have Rupert Friend, who's going to, I don't know enough about him to even make a comment on what he might be playing. I'm really interested in O'Shea Jackson Jr. Loved Straight Outta Compton. Thought that he played his father very, very well. I do know, and I haven't seen the other movies he's been in, but apparently he's really, really funny. So considering that he's played the dramatic and the funny, just about anything is possible with this. You know, so I know that somebody brought up maybe he could be playing Saw Gerrera. I don't know if age-wise if that would really work out. Sung Kang, who is in the Fast and Furious. I'm not a Fast and Furious guy. Watched the first movie, found it boring. I know some people will crucify me for that, but I just never enjoyed the franchise. So I don't know enough about Sung Kang. Simon Kessel, same thing, and Benny Safdie. But then again, if we're looking at this as far as Ewan McGregor being the most important character, as we go down less and less important, Sung Kang, Simon Kessel, and Benny Safdie probably won't have huge roles anyways. But if anybody out there has any ideas of who they think some of these actors could play, the only ones we know for sure obviously are Ewan, Hayden, Joel, and Bonnie. We know what roles they're going to play, but some of these other ones, if you have any theories or ideas, just let me know in the comments, and I'll talk about those stuff later. Let's see. Wonder Woman 84 is trash, worse than Captain Marvel. I didn't think that Wonder Woman 84 was the worst movie I've seen. I thought that there were some good things about it. It was a huge disappointment to me, just because I loved the first Wonder Woman movie. I thought it was one of the best comic book movies of all time, and I was expecting a follow. I was expecting a follow-up that kind of made me gave me better feelings, I guess. The biggest problem I had with Wonder Woman 84 is I thought that there were a lot of plot holes, especially with the main villain that Pedro Pascal played. I just didn't quite understand, and I'd have to go back and watch the movie again. I know after I got done watching it, my head was just like in all these different directions with plot holes. But it wasn't an important enough movie for me to really honestly put much more thought into it and to really dig into my feelings on it. Let's see, Star Wars should have stopped at the Return of the Jedi. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I think that it needs to keep going. I just think that I love Star Wars Rebels a lot. And Omar, yeah, if you need to go for it. I love Star Wars Rebels a lot. I liked Rogue One. I thought the Solo movie was pretty decent for what it was. I don't think it was needed though. I think the Mandalorian I absolutely love. I think that's really good. I just think that they needed to do a better job of having a plan for the sequels. When Disney bought Star Wars, they needed to sit down with a group of creative people with George and have discussions about where Star Wars should go from here. In the long run, they didn't have to take anything George had to say and run with it, but having him at least part of those writers' rooms while they planned, not even part of the scripts or anything, but just plan which direction Star Wars should go from here and started outlining it, I think would have been really good. And even minus George Lucas, because at that point, he handed in the scripts that he had done for the sequel trilogy. And I think he just wanted to get away. So maybe at that point, maybe they couldn't even gotten George to sit in a room with him. But he enjoys talking Star Wars so much that I really feel like if they would have said, "Hey, George, we really want you to come in and help inspire our future creators," I think I think he would have gone with it. And not only that, but you think about it, if they would have done that, one of the people that he would have wanted to bring in the room with them would have been Dave Filoni. And having Dave Filoni be part of that planning process from the beginning, we wouldn't be in the mess that we are right now. The sequel trilogy, if Dave Filoni were in the initial writers' rooms, which I don't even think there were writers' rooms, I don't think that there was groups of people sitting there and saying, where should Star Wars go? It feels like it was just, hey, JJ, why don't you write this movie? Why don't you make this movie? JJ, what do you want it to be about? And Kathleen, I don't care, just write a movie. You're a good director. You made these good TV shows and all this stuff. Just make a movie. And I feel like that's what it was. And after it was done, she's like, okay, Rian Johnson, you're up. Make your movie. Do I need to even watch the Force Awakens? No, you don't need to even do that. Maybe look at the cliff notes of it just so you have an idea of what went on in there. And it just kind of went that way. There was no plan. I don't feel like there was a writer's room. And if they would have had that, if Disney would have understood that from the beginning, if they would have, I'll get to that in a second, Omar. If they would have in the beginning had a plan, then the sequel trilogy, even with the same characters, even if they had the same characters and a lot of the same beats, could have been absolutely amazing. We need to remaster the movies, not so much because they put weird twists in them. There were weird twists in the sequel trilogy because they weren't twists. They were just complete changes in the characters and their motivations and plots. There was nothing flowed. Like George Lucas used to say, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Nothing in the sequel trilogy rhymed. And it was just absolutely ridiculous. And I've said this before, Force Awakens, when the Force Awakens was done, even though I had some issues with it, and particularly Rey knowing how to do stuff with the Force without anybody even teaching her, I had some issues with that. When the Force Awakens was done, I was so excited for Star Wars. I love that movie. I watched it 5 times in the theater. I bought it as soon as it came out on digital. Loved The Force Awakens. In context for what it meant for the sequels, though, it's made me a little bit bitter towards it because of seeing what came after that. And I'm gonna end this on this because it's going a little bit longer than I was expecting. Even the Kathleen Kennedy thing, if she has learned her lessons from the failures of the sequel trilogy, if she understands the mistakes she made in not having things planned out and not having the right creative minds in control, if she learned those lessons, then Kathleen Kennedy can go on to be a very successful president of Lucasfilm. If she did not learn that, if she tries to put too much, if Kathleen Kennedy tries to put too much say into the creative part of Star Wars going forward, if she allows it to not really be planned well, then it'll end up being one of those things where Star Wars is going to be damaged even more than it is right now. Is Harrison Ford the only actor that was successful after Star Wars? I would say Ewan McGregor, even though you could really question, I mean, he's not an A-list actor, so as far as if you're gonna say which Star Wars actors were A-list after they got done with Star Wars, you look at Natalie Portman, though you could say that she was already pretty darn close to A-list before that. Everybody knew she was going to be a great actress. I believe that John Boyega is going to go on to have an A-list career. Adam Driver is a phenomenal actor, and I do believe that the Star Wars helped him get exposure. So Adam Driver, I think, is probably going to be better off for being in Star Wars, and he's going to be a multi-nominated actor and probably win some Best Actor Oscars. So don't be surprised. Let's see. The Star Wars canons are good. Or cartoons are good. Yes, I agree. It takes. Even though I still haven't gotten through Resistance. I've made it through the first half of the first season. Just can't get farther in it. It's just not doing it for me. But I'm committed to eventually finishing Star Wars Resistance. But both Clone Wars and Rebels started off somewhat slow for me, where I felt like I couldn't get into the characters at the beginning. But by the end, I loved all the characters. And I'll end up with this. What is the High Republic about? It's like 200 years before the Phantom Menace, and the Jedi are in there. But it's their high point of when they had the most power, but at the same time were more involved in the peace of the galaxy than they are with being warriors and all that. And it's just about how a threat comes from the unknown regions, and they have to deal with that. And I don't know, I've only read the first 2 books in it, and I'm on the 3rd. I'm not sure exactly what else it's going to be about, but I think we're going to find out more about what being a Jedi is actually all about, and maybe in some extent maybe see some other examples of people having attachments and having that go wrong, so that we can get a better view of why the Jedi basically allowed Anakin to have emotional issues without giving him help, because their philosophy was you shouldn't be working on your emotional issues and your mental health, because you should just act like emotions don't exist, is pretty much what it is. So, but anyways, that's going to be it for me for today. Love this. Those are great comments today. One of these points we'll do something that's specifically about the toxicity of Star Wars and all that, and we can kind of get into that more. But I'm really excited for the Bad Batch, and I'm really excited for the Obi Wan Kenobi series, and to kind of figure out who these actors are going to be playing. Let's see. Battlefront 3 will be coming. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think we could, here in the next couple months, I believe that we will get a confirmation on Battlefront 3 coming. And it's going to be exciting. I do believe that the first trailer for Battlefront 3 will have Ahsoka and Ventress on it, because those are the 2 characters that people have wanted the most. So to get people excited when they do have a first trailer for Battlefront 3, I think those 2 characters will be in it. But anyways, that's going to be it for today. Everybody have a great day. May the Force be with you.